Okay, here we go. What's up? Just waiting for everything to wake up. Give it a few minutes here while folks load in, and I of course have to make sure that everything is functioning properly. And I gotta see it to believe it. You know how that goes. I have to see it to believe it. I'm the doubting Thomas of the internet. There's Rockfin. Rockfin's awake. Good morning, Rockfin and YouTube. Where you at? Ooh, YouTube has woken up, but Rockfin actually beat YouTube. Rockfin wasn't first. YouTube, excuse me, Twitter always is first. Twitter's always first. Rockfin today came in second. YouTube came in third. I wonder if any of you care about that. I don't know if you do. I understand if you don't. But I don't know if any of you actually care about that. Like, Rob, we don't care. I know you do, but none of us do. I get it. I get it. What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning if you're in my time zone. Welcome to the Headline Show. This is the Get Your News On with Ron segment for the week where we go through some of the headlines that I think are very important and need to be shared. And we're covering a lot of the typical bases here on Get Your News On with Ron this week. We got a digital rights update on what's going on with the FCC gridlock. We're also going to be talking about the Amazon union vote in Bessemer, Alabama. They're going to be redoing that vote. We got some details on that and an update there. Red Lobster is the latest in the long list of greedy capitalist exploiters. You say it like that, right? Exploiters. And the leading story today, what we're going to lead off with and talk about first, is the state of single-payer healthcare in California. First of all, shout out to our friends who help make this show possible, our friends over at Indie Left. Indie Left is a place to find all the content creators you know and love. What they do is they curate a list, they update it twice a day, and they just make a list of streamers, articles, all kinds of different content. You can get your news in a one-stop shop to find out everything they got going on and to join their Discord community. Go to independentleft.media. I'd like to get better on Discord. To tell you, did I just say it in the most okay boomer way possible? I'd like to get better at the Discord. Excuse me, is there a young person anywhere? Can you teach me how to get better at the Discord? I don't know, but I would. I mean, I use Discord some. Like I'm kind of hip to it, but I'm not super hip to it. I am at minimal hipness to Discord. I know what it is. I could use it. I've done some stuff on it, but I don't know. Joining different groups, getting something out of it. I am not hip to that. I would like to be. But anyway, single payer in California. That's where we're going to go first. So there is a bill here in California, for anyone not in the know, called AB 1400, CalCare for short. And it is the bill for a single payer healthcare program here in California. It has really been spearheaded by the Nurses Association here in California. They tried to bring it up at a main Democratic conference back in 2016. They were also supporters of Bernie Sanders. And there's that legendary clip where they were told to shut the fuck up, literally what they were told. The Democratic establishment told them to shut the fuck up and leave. They were people who were upset that Bernie Sanders was being cheated and wanted single payer health care in California. So for those cardinal sins, they were told by the Democratic Party elites to shut the fuck up and leave. That's what they were told to do. Literally, verbatim. That's what they were told. Actually, I don't remember if he actually said fuck or not, but shut up and leave was pretty much what he said. So I guess I shouldn't say 100% verbatim just to be totally accurate here. But that was the gist of it for sure. And and then later on, Anthony Rendon, who's in, I believe, 8063 is his district. He stabbed the single payer bill in the back. And his side of the story is, oh, well, the funding wasn't done properly. Now, what they were told when they were proposing the bill was, hey, don't worry about some of these funding components. We just need the gist of it, and then we're going to fill in those gaps later. That's what they were told to do. So they were told, hey, don't worry about this stuff. They said, okay, here it is. We didn't worry about that stuff you told us not to worry about. And they said, hey, wait a second. Where's all that stuff we told you not to worry about? It's not in here. We're shelving this bill. That's what happened. They stabbed it in the back. That's why Anthony Rendon earned the nickname of the single payer slayer. And also Game of Thrones was very popular when he got that nickname. It was before the last season. And since then, now Governor Gavin Newsom, has tweeted in support of single payer before. He even ran on it. He said he was a single payer guy. Not everybody believes him. Raise his hand. I didn't believe him. I didn't support him for governor. I supported Delane Easton. But anyway, he's been singing the single payer tune some as well. So that's a brief history of where single payer is at in the state of California. Now, since then, the bill has been advancing. It just went through the California Assembly Health Committee. It got through there, and now it is being sent to the Appropriations Committee. So in short, a single payer bill, a real single payer bill where the numbers have been reviewed. And spoiler alert, folks, it would be cheaper. It'd be a cheaper healthcare plan for the state. It would have everybody insured, and it would be cheaper. I mean, it's just any single payer plan would, because you get everyone in the poll, and then you're paying based on a single payer. There's no for-profit middleman. So it's more efficient. So that bill is moving forward. So, well, where is Gavin Newsom in all this? Where's he at? This editorial from the LA Times sums it up pretty nicely. So the question here, are we going to get single payer in California? Good chance, no. But we're sure as hell going to keep fighting for it. But here's what Gavin Newsom's up to, Governor Gavin Newsom. So here's this editorial. I think it sums it up good. Close prisons, give workers more paid family leave, make preschool available for free for all 4-year-olds. So they're mentioning some of the stuff Gavin Newsom has signed as of recent. That's what they start this. They start it with, it's like a compliment sandwich. Let's start with some of the good things. And now, one of the things we talked about on this show is the fact that here in California, our governor, Gavin Newsom, is scared. He barely made it through. Well, he made it through the recall a fair amount, but there was a recall in the first place. He is unpopular. He is scared. And what do scared politicians do when they're scared of losing their job? Well, they do some okay things. And that's some of the okay things he's been doing. He's also enacted some more strict drilling regulations, which is good. He's been denying fracking permits, which is good. It's way too little, way too late, but it's better than approving them. And he's doing this, closing some prisons, giving workers more paid family leave, make preschool available for free for all 4-year-olds. And he did sign the broadband bill. We've been covering that a lot. So, yes, some good things have been happening. Is it anywhere close to enough? No. But are there a few good things that have been signed into law here in California? Yeah. So, and I think it's a result of him being scared. He is scared he is going to lose his job. So he has to concede a little bit. But he's not necessarily conceding too much. So they reference a tweet that he put up here. California is poised to be, if this proposal is supported, the first state in the country to achieve universal access. Oh, he used the buzzword there, folks. Not healthcare, access to healthcare. Everyone's going to have access to healthcare. Just like I have access to a Lamborghini. I have access to a mansion in Beverly Hills. I can drive to Beverly Hills and see a mansion. I have access to it. I can even get a realtor on the phone and say, hey, that mansion, what's that going for? They'll give me the price. If I bullshit really good, they might even give me a walkthrough. They might even think maybe this guy's been in movies or something. Maybe he has money. And give me a walkthrough. And then I have access to it until they tell me what the down payment is. And then I have to be like, I just wasted everybody's time. I just wasted everyone's time. But I have access to it. Just like everyone's going to get access to healthcare. Gotta love it. So the bill that he's referring to, the policy he's referring to, is not AB 1400. It's not the single payer plan. But here's what's going on. Newsom could have taken the opportunity to acknowledge what his budgets make plain. That he's moving with blah, 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 when he said it's about time for Democrats to support single payer. So the governor is trying to have it both ways. This is from the LA Times editorial, suggesting something doable that the health insurance industry can live with while saying he still supports systemic change. The nurses union isn't buying it. That's because it's bullshit. I mean, every other industrialized country, with the exception to Switzerland, and the way Switzerland does, they do have private insurance in Switzerland, but the way they do it, it is overseen so much that their system is not near as bad as ours. It's still really expensive, though. Why? Because they have private insurance be the lay of the land. Now, I know other universal systems, they have private insurance in some form. Maybe it gets you a nicer waiting room. Maybe it covers some cosmetic things that isn't covered by the basic healthcare everyone gets, but there is universal healthcare. It's not our system where it's just private insurance companies control everything. So as a result, we are price gouged. There's a for-profit middleman in between us and our doctor, and we pay more and get less than every other industrialized country in the frickin' world. That is a fact. So saying, oh, the health insurance industry can still be at the table. That's like saying, that's like hiring an exterminator because you have termites underneath your floor. And the exterminator goes, hey, we're going to let some of the termites stay. We decide we need to give the termites something they can live with. No, you need to exterminate them. You need to, and that's what we need to do with the insurance companies. We need to get rid of them. Not in the literal sense. But we need to end their companies so they can't do what they do. And the only way they can exist is if they cover something like cosmetic, like Botox or something like that. I would like it that there's no private insurance industry for healthcare at all. But if it's something like cosmetic or whatever, okay, whatever. I can live with that. That's fine. Let them, if someone wants to make money from that, knock yourself out. But as far as basic healthcare that somebody needs, get the insurance companies out of the question. That's the only way. You can't, we're going to let them hang around some. No, you can't do that. So Gavin Newsom's ideas are bullshit. Newsom proposal calls for expanding the Medi-Cal insurance program to all low-income undocumented immigrants, extending coverage to the 764,000 people now left out. Okay, in many states, this would be blah, blah, blah. So here's what they say. It's a straightforward expansion of the existing healthcare system that builds on similar expansions the state has approved in recent years, not the kind of blow it up and start all over healthcare reform that Bernie crats. This is the article's verbiage, not mine. I get so annoyed by that term, by the way. I get so, and I know I'm nitpicking. We talked about this before, but I get so annoyed by the insert politician's name here and then say crat and call that a thing. Bernie crat, whatever. Do they do that for are there Biden crats? I mean, I guess that's just a Democrat, so you don't need to have. But I find it so condescending. Like there's millions of people in this country who they just never heard of any of these policy ideas before Bernie Sanders. Now, I know for some people that's the case, and that's totally fine. But to assume that there was nobody with left-wing ideas in the United States before Bernie Sanders is freaking condescending and quite frankly insulting to the American people. Bernie Sanders did not invent any of these policy ideas. What Bernie Sanders did was he showed us that we're not as alone as we thought we were. There's more of us than we realize. It used to be you're like, yeah, I'm a left-wing person in the United States. That's like being a surfer in Nebraska, and my only way to get to the ocean is via bicycle. Now we have learned that I'm a left-wing person in the United States. That's like being a surfer in Nebraska, and the only way to get to the ocean is by bicycle. But it turns out there's more people that want to take this bike ride with me than I realize. Shit, what do? Maybe we can actually coordinate something. That's where we're at now. We are still arguably the smallest group politically in the country. I think it's safe to say that is likely still the case. But so anyway, that term annoys me. No offense to the opinion piece here we're talking about. But the vision is contained in a bill advancing in the legislature that would abolish existing private and public insurance plans and cover all Californians with a new state-run single-payer system called CalCare. So basically, they're acknowledging that cow care is moving up in the ranks. So now Gavin Newsom has this alternative proposal that, yes, it would cover more people and it would give some aid, but it's not the universal system that we need. It's another at best band-aid where a lot of people are still going to be left out. Instead of fees or copays, they're talking about the single payer bill now. Instead of fees or copays, Californians would pay for the system with billions of dollars in new payroll taxes, personal income taxes, and excise taxes on businesses. The complex plan would require approval from California voters as well as a new law from Congress because the state's healthcare spending relies so heavily on federal dollars. Now, they're saying that Gavin Newsom, this is a quote from him, the ideal system is a single payer system. In the meantime, I'm doing what I said I was going to do, and that's advance the cause of universal health care. So he's still giving single payer some lip service. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. But we'll see what happens here. So that's the state of things right now. And of course, we're going to continue to cover this. Right now, Gavin Newsom is proposing something else that isn't single payer and doesn't go near far enough. Is it probably better than absolutely nothing at all? Yeah, it's probably better than that. But you know what? We can't take any more baby steps. The time for baby steps, it was never a time for baby steps. There was never a time for baby steps. And we're past all that. I mean, in 2008, the country was still really scared of the idea of single payer as a whole. And I know this as someone who supported Dennis Kucinich, like you can kind of see that. A lot of people, they were still scared of it. They were scared of something. They thought it would really upend the economy. We're past all that now. We had our baby step. The baby step was the Affordable Care Act, which was a terrible piece of legislation that is actually Mitt Romney's idea. But what we had was so terrible that Romney Care was a minuscule baby step in a better direction than fuck all. It was moderately better than fuck all. Because what we had before was completely fuck all. So here's something a little bit better than fuck all. And the world saw like, wow, when we do something moderately better than fuck all, it makes a difference. What if we actually did the type of healthcare system the rest of the goddamn industrialized world has? What if we did that? Might be better. That's where we're at now. So that's what's going on here. And if California or New York State or Washington State, if a couple states try to get it, the goal, of course, is that it leads to a federal system. The goal is a federal Medicare for all system. That's what you want at the end of the day. You don't want the finish line to be 50 different single payer plans in 50 different states. It's much, 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 much better. What we want is federal Medicare for all. But the state by state approach is still worthwhile because you're cutting out the insurance industries in big customer markets. That's what you're doing. You're slowly stripping away their power. And when you do that, well, then you're going to get a federal system. Because right now, it's their power that is keeping us from universal health care. Everyone knows it's better. Everyone knows it's better. Everybody knows. Even Fox News viewers are ready for Medicare for all. But we don't have it. Why? Because the insurance lobby is a big one. And they got a lot of money. And they lobby people like Gavin Newsom and people like Joe Biden. And they lobby the Republicans too, although they don't need to as much. They buy our government. So that's the state of things. Folks are fighting for it. And the fight continues. The fight's going to continue. By the way, before we move forward, I want to mention here, a couple of you are mentioning that you've been unsubscribed. Yeah, they've been unsubscribing people on the regular. Like there's a regular, like every time I stream, there's a couple there's a couple people that are unsubscribed. Like I'll see my subscriber count go down. So either it's a hell of a coincidence that like every time I log in, that there's like a certain, and usually it's like exactly 5. So either every time I log in, exactly 5 people are like, yeah, we're done. Or they're unsubscribing people, or a little bit of both. I'm sure there's some people who unsubscribe from this channel. Maybe they don't like it anymore, whatever. That's fine. But it seems like they're also kind of randomly unsubscribing people. So So make sure you're subscribed. I appreciate it very much. So that is what's going on with single payer here in the state of California. Now let's move on to some other stuff here. And we'll go to Amazon first. We'll go to Amazon first. So here is a tweet from Mike Elk, who is a labor reporter, who is going to be on this show soon. Actually, we're going to be interviewing Mike, which I'm excited to talk to him. But anyway, that interview's not for a while. But first, here's something that he tweeted out. NLRB sets date for Amazon union election in Alabama. Now, the RWDSU is signaling they are unlikely to go through with the new election. So what's going on here? So, as you may recall, in Bessemer, Alabama, there was a union vote to unionize. Now, that vote did not pass. The workers, like there were not enough workers who voted in favor of a union. But here are some of the things that Amazon did to influence the outcome of this vote. Amazon, first thing they did was whenever there would be Q&A sessions, anyone who would ask a pro-union question or bring up a pro-union point, they were intimidated. Their worker number was recorded. They were asked questions. They did not do this to workers if they asked an anti-union thing or brought up an anti-union thing. So they were intimidating workers in the workplace. They decided to put a collection box right in a very high-profile, visible place in the facility. So a lot of people were worried, oh, everyone's going to know how I vote. And if the union vote doesn't pass and they take action against the people who voted for the union, I might lose my job. That was a fear. Now, Amazon assured that, oh, this would all be private and confidential, but, people kind of felt otherwise. Also, only Amazon's people had access to this ballot box. Only Amazon's people had access. Randomly, a bunch of no votes all came in on the same day or two. Bunch of no votes all on the same day or two, randomly. Again, only Amazon's people had access to this thing. Now, all of these actions, the labor board said, like the NLRB, they said, did I get those letters right? Yeah, NLRB, National Labor Relations Board. Pretty sure that's what that means. They said, Amazon, don't do this. Amazon said, screw you, we don't care, and did it anyway. And so there was no pro-union literature allowed in the facility, only anti-union literature. So where did pro-union workers, where were they able to meet with their fellow workers? Where were they able to distribute their literature? Well, in the traffic light, or at the traffic light going into the warehouse facility. Cars would be stopped going into work, and pro-union workers would approach them and say, hey, here's some information about the union. Here's why you should consider voting for the union. So what did Amazon do? Amazon got that traffic light taken out. They took out the traffic light so that pro-union workers could not communicate with their fellow workers. Those are all and that's just the Cliff Notes list. There's other things Amazon did. It was so corrupt that the labor board said, you guys need to redo this vote. This was bullshit. You need to redo this vote. So they ruled that Amazon needed to redo the vote. Now, as Mike points out in this thread, the RWDSU, which is the Retail Warehouse and Department Store Union, that's what that union is. They're saying, we're still not convinced Amazon's going to play fair. They're still not convinced that they did not get any assurance. I don't know what assurance they would have gotten. I don't know if Bezos sent them a postcard where he's wearing skin tight white jeans and raising his middle finger high and going, we'll be fair this time. But they are not even convinced it's going to be a fair process. So here's kind of the timeline on what we know so far. This is an article from CBS News, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what CBS News is saying, that if things do move forward, here's how they're going to move forward. Date set for new Amazon union vote at Bessemer facility. The NLRB said Tuesday that a second union election for the nearly 6,000 workers at Amazon processing facility will take place next month. In a notice to eligible voters, say that 5 times fast. Eligible voters. The NLRB said Tuesday Amazon interfered with the employees' exercise of a free and reasoned choice when it installed a ballot collection box and improperly polled employees' support during a mandatory meeting. That's kind of glossing over what they did. But in the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, they've expressed that they're deeply concerned that the NLRB isn't doing enough to prevent Amazon from continuing its objectionable behavior. So they're supposed to next month, ballots are supposed to go out, and they're supposed to start counting the ballots in March. That's kind of the timeline here. They're supposed to go out next month, which would be February, and they're going to start counting the ballots in March. So here we go. The second election will take place through secret mail-in ballots, which will be sent out to voters starting next month. That would be February. The official counting of the ballots is set for late March. So we're going to watch all of this as it unfolds. And hopefully very, very close eyes are going to be kept on Amazon, because Amazon has made it very clear they will pull out every dirty trick in the book. And they're going to do it again. Amazon will spend millions to prevent a socialist city council member from getting reelected. Amazon will have an ambulance parked outside of a warehouse facility because they'd rather do that than provide adequate air conditioning resources for people. They'd rather do that than provide adequate air conditioning. And what's so crazy here is that even if you look at it from the capitalist perspective of profit above all else, human beings are disposable. Even from that perspective, it doesn't make any sense. All this money you're spending in these anti-union efforts, in ambulance rides, you could just give people a living freaking wage. Then your productivity would be better, your employees would be happier, and you're still rich. It doesn't make any sense, even from the soulless capitalist perspective. I mean, setting aside the moral perspective, that is just repulsive on every level. That goes without saying. But even from the capitalist, like money, profit above all else perspective, it doesn't make any sense to do what they're doing. They're sociopaths. Jeff Bezos is a sociopath. I mean, I saw a tweet the other day. You could get like $10,000 a day from like 76 until present. You still wouldn't have as much money as that guy. No one makes that much money ethically. You only make that much money if you screw over a lot of people. And it's just sociopathy at this point. Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, those people, they have more money than they could ever spend in lifetimes upon lifetimes. They will never want. Their kids will never want. Their kids' kids will never want. Their kids' kids' kids will never want, if there's still a freaking human species left on the planet. And even if there isn't, they'll probably be up in freaking space somewhere. And Jeff Bezos still will make sure he fills out forms properly so that he gets a $4,000 deductible he shouldn't be allowed to have. He'll still do everything to screw over a union vote in Bessemer, Alabama, and to try to prevent a union vote in Staten Island. And we're taught that these are things to aspire to. We're taught that this is a good thing. It's nuts. Like it doesn't, even from their perspective, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, study after study after study reveals when employees are happy, they're more productive. So your company does better. And when more people have money, more people spend it and put it back into the economy. So sales are up. Even from like your fringe capitalist perspective, it still doesn't make any sense to do this. But they do it anyway. Because they're freaking nuts. Because they're sociopaths. Like, how can you be that greedy? It just, I don't get it. I just don't get it. Hey. Speaking of greed, let's go to another exploitative company. Did I say that right? We're going to go to Red Lobster. Not to eat. Red Lobster. So Red Lobster is the latest in disgusting, despicable companies, and they're making their employees work sick. They're making their employees work when they have COVID. So, gee, isn't that great? A place where you're giving food to people, and they're making their employees work sick. Red Lobster. Red Lobster, by the way, is a seafood restaurant that somehow only excels in places that are really freaking far from the ocean. That's where Red Lobster does great. Further from the ocean, the more Red Lobsters you'll see. but they're a seafood restaurant. And their most popular culinary item is a ball of bread with cheese and herbs. That's their plateau. That's their peak. It's a freaking roll with cheddar and herbs in it. Now, don't get me wrong; those things are damn tasty. The cheddar biscuits, they are damn tasty. And here's the thing, though, folks: you can make them at home. Red Lobster sells their cheddar biscuits. Like you can buy the mix and make them at home. Which again, that just goes these corporate restaurant chains. It's like they will, even if that will drive their customer base down in the restaurant, they'll still take the chance to just try to make more money, to just try to commodify as much as they can. Well, let's sell our shit in stores. It might be the only reason people come to this restaurant. Let's sell it in stores. So, and by the way, I'm not like if you go to a Red Lobster because maybe you live in a place where there aren't a lot of options. I'm not like I'm not trying to food shame anybody. But I will tell you this: the last time I went to a Red Lobster, I actually remember it because that's not really a place I seek out. Especially since I live on a coast, so if I want seafood, there's choices. But a long time ago, I remember the last time I was at a Red Lobster was actually when I was still living in Pittsburgh. And the reason I went was because a friend of mine was visiting from Belgium. He came in from Belgium and he said, "Ron, what is the ultimate American culinary experience?" And I said, "We got to go to a Red Lobster." No, I'm just kidding. That's not what happened. But but what happened was he really liked trying different food. Like that was a big deal to him. So I took him to some of my favorite restaurants in Pittsburgh. I showed him some of my favorite sandwiches, and he really enjoyed the places I was taking him. He dug it. And he told me that he wanted to go to a Red Lobster, which I was a little surprised that was somewhere he wanted to go. I asked him why. I said, "Why, out of curiosity, do you want to go to a Red Lobster?" And he said because colleagues of his from Belgium came to the United States, and their company, they were there on a work trip, and their company took them to a Red Lobster. And they were blown away that you could get lobster that cheap. They had never seen anything like that. They thought it was just so intriguing. So they had this awesome experience at Red Lobster. So he told me he wanted to go to one. And I said, "Sure, buddy. We'll go to a Red Lobster. That's no problem. And I'm not trying to yuck your yum or be a Betty Buzzkill here or be, a snooty food guy or whatever. But based on the stuff you've been enjoying so far, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you're going to really love this. I don't think it's going to be, um, I just want to get you set up. You're saying that your friends loved it because it was cheap by lobster standards. I have a feeling you might kind of feel like I got what I paid for. You know what I mean? Um, and he said, "All right, well, let's find out." And so we went to Red Lobster, and he was blown away by how much salad dressing they put on the salad, which I guess is something that, as someone who lives in I'm from the United States, I've lived in the United States my whole life. That's something that you don't notice, but when you hear an outsider's perspective, you're like, "Oh yeah, chain restaurants, they really do pour on the freaking salad dressing." That is a thing they do, because that's likely a corporate policy. Our salads are bathed in salad dressing. That's what we do here. And so right away he was kind of like, "Oh, this is weird. I don't know if I'm feeling this." And then he didn't really dig Red Lobster that much, but he did enjoy the cheddar biscuits. He was like, "These cheddar biscuits, that's the best part." That was his favorite part. He kind of was just like, "Yeah, this is just I get it. I get why it's priced this way." And by the way, Red Lobster is not a cheap restaurant. Red Lobster is an expensive restaurant. It's just for like lobster. Lobster's a very expensive thing. So, by like lobster standards, it's like, wow, you can get, like they'll have these like seafood feasts where it's like lobster and all this other stuff. And when you look at the price, you're like, wow, for all that seafood, that's pretty economical. So I get it. And I get why his colleagues were like, "Wow, we've never seen anything like this." But I wonder if they would have had like an affordable lobster roll, if that would have blown their minds way more, because those things are delicious. Now that's, I mean, if we were in Massachusetts or something, I'd be like, you know what, man, instead of going to Red Lobster, why don't you trust me on this one? We're gonna get you a lobster roll. And you're gonna be like, this was only what, like 12, $14? Hot damn. I don't know. But anyway, so we went to Red Lobster. That's the last time I was at a Red Lobster. So here's what they're doing. This is from a More Perfect Union. We're going to check out some of this video. Let's check it out.
Red Lobster workers are being forced to come to work sick during the pandemic.
And the timelines, he basically got COVID on Sunday. And by Tuesday, the girl and I were showing symptoms because we already hung out with him before we found out that he had symptoms and got the positive COVID test. So then we went to tell management, like, hey, I'm not coming in for my weekend shifts because, I've got the same symptoms as the roommate that has COVID. And they tried to fight us a lot with that.
They tried to fight. Hey, my roommate has COVID and I have symptoms. I probably shouldn't come into work. Yeah, you should. What makes you think? That's incredible. I mean, that right there, that is incredible. Holy shit. All right, anyway, let's watch a little more of this.
I had to take off for getting COVID. I just didn't get paid anything. I was just off the clock.
We don't get sick pay. If we don't work, we don't get paid. The coworkers who get in contact with a confirmed COVID-19 family member would still come to work.
63% of Red Lobster workers, this is according to the tweet from a More Perfect Union, Red Lobster refuses to provide paid sick leave to its 50,000 plus restaurant workers during the ongoing pandemic. Employees told us horror stories of managers insisting that they work sick. They work while they're sick with COVID. In a new survey, 63% of Red Lobster workers said they worked sick. Now, Red Lobster was just the latest company to have the whistle blown on them. But Red Lobster is certainly not alone. We all know this. In fact, there's an entire restaurant group that Red Lobster is part of. And I bet they're all doing this. I think it's safe to say they're all doing this. And other companies do this. We've heard the horror stories. So I don't call for a general strike because I think it'll be easy. It won't be easy. I know that. We all know that. I call for a general strike because I don't see how we have any other choice. What choice do we have at this point? I mean, look at this. They're literally just having people work sick during a pandemic. They have made it clear that you are disposable. They don't give a shit about you. And they're saying the quiet part out loud now. The CDC, oh yeah, we think 5 days is fine. Why? Does science and medicine back that up? No, economics does. Fauci said that. Fauci said, oh yeah, we don't want to shut things down, so go work sick. That's what he said in a flowery roundabout way. He's like, oh, we just don't want things to come to a standstill. What about public health? What about that? Isn't public health supposed to be the objective here? Not the profit margins of CEOs in Wall Street, except no, it's not. It's not. Public health is at best a distant second. I think saying it's a distant second is even being generous. But capitalism comes first. That's been the case for 2 years and counting. Capitalism first, public health an afterthought. And look at where we're at. And clearly, I mean, a general strike would work. A general strike would clearly work. It'd be effective because, look, I mean, they need people to go to work. They need people to go to work. They can't let people quarantine for however many days so that they're not sick. So if we said no, we're freaking done. If anyone has a better idea, I'm all for it. If anyone has a better idea. People always bring up like, well, a general strike would take blah, blah, blah. The general strike. Yeah, I know it wouldn't be easy. I know it wouldn't be easy. If you got a better idea, I'm all for it. All for it. So yeah, there you go. Red Lobster. Red Lobster. The cheddar biscuits. They are tasty. I will admit, those cheddar biscuits are damn tasty, but you can make them at home. You can make them at home. All right, to close out our last story of the day, we're going to go to digital rights. You know me, and the FCC is still in a gridlock. So where are we at with the FCC? For those of you who have been following the show a lot, you know that the FCC currently has 2 pro-net neutrality seats and 2 anti-net neutrality seats. Now, Joe Biden, he waited a record amount of time to do this, but he made Jessica Rosenworcel head of the FCC, which is good. And he appointed Gigi Sohn, which is a good appointment. Gigi Sohn has not yet been confirmed. Jessica Rosenworcel is in as head of the FCC. That's a good thing. She's a good head. She votes good on those issues. That's great. Gigi Sohn needs to be confirmed to give us a 3-2 pro-net neutrality majority. And here's another reason why. They're dragging their feet on it. Here's another reason why, though. This is a piece from The Hill. In this critical moment for digital access, we must confirm Gigi Sohn for the FCC. Today, as millions of children are being sent home from school yet again due to Omicron sweeping the nation, it has never been more critical to bring everyone the benefits of broadband, high-quality, high-speed internet access. Now, thanks to the billions committed in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Investment and Job Act, we have the best opportunity in a generation to actually close the digital divide for good. But this essential work cannot happen without the swift confirmation of Gigi Sohn as a commissioner with the FCC. As a commissioner on the FCC at the turn of the century and the last Latino to hold that position, this is from the article, I was concerned that Latinos and other people of color were being left behind by the telecommunications revolution. So what's going on here? We still have a significant digital divide in this country. And this editorial talks about kids having to go to fast food parking lots to do their homework because they don't have adequate broadband at home. We did a segment on this show where we interviewed Chase Roper, a former Comcast employee, where he would talk about how Comcast was selling insufficient broadband packages to family that they knew were insufficient, and they knew the family couldn't afford to pay it, but they did it anyway so they could price gouge people during a pandemic while still giving them inadequate internet. Simultaneously, other companies earlier in the pandemic to try to look good, they lifted these data caps, and guess what? Nothing happened. Everything was fine. Internet was fine, which proved to everyone that these data caps are just bullshit. They're just bullshit. They're just price gouging bullshit. There's no reason for it. We don't need it. Internet infrastructure is not some freaking Rubik's Cube. Our infrastructure sucks, and it's still better than the cable companies want you to believe it is. They still built shitty infrastructure, but it's actually better than what they tell you. You know what I mean? Because they tell you, oh yeah, we need to have this data caps or things will come to a standstill. No, we don't. You've just imposed that so you can price gouge people more. You've imposed that to pad your pockets even more. You've already padded your pockets by having an organized duopoly on internet access and then building substandard infrastructure so you can price gouge it. Why put more into infrastructure when you don't have to? If we all do a shitty job, Americans won't want more. And how can we fight back on this? Well, here's the thing. The FCC, if they reinstate net neutrality, what net neutrality really does is it assures the free flow of information on the internet. It assures that information on the internet flows like flowing water. So someone can't pay for designated fast lanes or slow lanes. A content provider can't pay to have their content upload faster than anyone else. It stops all that from happening. And the way it does this is it designates the internet a Title II designation, which by FCC standards, a Title II designation means it's a utility in our life. Again, like flowing water. So Title II is a utility. Title I is what's designate a communication or information service. A television is considered a Title I. You don't necessarily need a television as a utility in your life, especially not that we have the internet. But the internet is a utility in our lives. We need it to learn. We need it to pay our bills. We need it to do most of our purchasing. Most people buy the stuff they need from the internet to some extent. The internet has become a utility in our life. It wasn't that way in 1996. It wasn't that way even in the year 2000. But now in the year 2021, especially as the global village expands, especially as we're still dealing with a global pandemic, the internet is a utility in our life. There are people who would not be able to function and get what they need or go to work even if it wasn't for the internet. And as you're seeing more people working from home, internet is a utility. And if the FCC can designate it as one, well, then they can do something to close the digital divide too. They can require that the digital divide be closed. So that's another connection here, pun intended. It's not just, hey, let's make sure internet traffic flows the right way it should. It's also about closing the digital divide and about making sure everyone has access and has high-speed, quality broadband. And not access in the healthcare sense, not access like, hey, you have access to it the way you have access to a Lamborghini. Like, no, there is quality broadband in your community. Now, the best way to do this, municipal broadband, city-owned internet all throughout the country. That's the best way to do this. That is the best way. And the FCC can enact policies that will make that easier to do. They can make that because these big cable companies have put forth a lot of red tape that makes it harder to do for cities and municipalities because they saw this coming. They said the day is going to come where cities are going to realize, hey, we'd be better off building our own internet infrastructure. We build a better quality product and it'd be at a better price because we would just be providing a service and a utility to the city that we all benefit from. So we wouldn't be looking to just price gouge consumers and make money like some corporation that's not even based here. People are realizing that in cities all across the country. They're looking at Chattanooga, Tennessee. Chattanooga, Tennessee has some of the best internet in the freaking world, not just in the country, in the freaking world. Why? Because they have municipal broadband. They invested in their power grid back in the day. They saw this coming, and now their residents afford the best they enjoy some of the best internet in the world at a reasonable price. I think most people in Chattanooga, they pay around $65 a month. That's less than what I pay. I pay more than that for internet. And I get the highest quality that you can get because I need it for stuff like this. And it ain't that great. Yeah, it ain't that great. So that's where we're at. So to get Gigi's Zone confirmed, go to battleforthenet.com and demand it. They kind of went to sleep on this at the end of the year. They did like the bare minimum. What they did was the bare minimum, because if they would have done absolutely nothing, if they would have not confirmed Jessica Rosenworcel, if they would have not done anything about Gigi's Zone, then the FCC would actually be in a 2-1 majority on the anti-net neutrality side. It'd be an anti-net neutrality FCC because Jessica Rosenworcel's term would have expired. But by making her head, well, then her term didn't expire. So, and that would have been maybe one of the first times in history that the FCC itself was in contradiction with what was in the White House. Joe Biden promised a pro-net neutrality FCC. He promised pro-net neutrality appointees. He probably didn't want to make that promise. Joe Biden himself is not for net neutrality unless he evolved on it recently. Joe Biden himself started his campaign at a dinner of Comcast executives, but sometimes when there's enough pressure, you have to concede and do things you don't want to do. Just like Tom Wheeler had to designate the internet a utility in the first place. Tom Wheeler gave us net neutrality. He didn't want to do that. He's been a cable lobbyist his entire career. But there was enough public pressure that he's like, I got to do this. And he did. So that's where we're at. Battleforthenet.com. That's something you can do. And all digital rights organizations have been pushing this editorial saying, hey, this is another reason why Gigi's Zone needs to be appointed and needs to be appointed now. So, yeah. All right. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah. So here we go. Let's see. Those are all the stories for today. I do have a couple GoFundMe folks to thank. So for those of you who are, I'm sure all of you know this, you hear me talk about it constantly. I am getting ready to break ground on my movie. the pandemic and everything has definitely slowed things down. Production in general has slowed down everywhere, pretty much all across the world. Still in a very, very weird place, but hoping to start breaking ground on the movie very, very soon. Still need your support. You can go to GoFundMe.com, type in left at wall, and make a contribution. If you give $100 or more, we put your name in the credits. Everybody who gives, though, gets a thank you on Get Your News On with Ron. But if you have some means and you want to see your name in the credits, $100 gets you that. And you can go to GoFundMe.com, type in left at wall. It comes right up, and you can make a contribution to help make this film a reality. I want to give a shout out to Stephen Wolfbrandt. Thank you very much for your contribution there. And you say you want your name in the credits. You will be getting your name in the credits. Thank you so much for that, Stephen. And Evan Summers. Evan, thank you so much. Stephen, thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity in helping to make this film a reality. I cannot do this without you guys. We have raised enough that we can start breaking ground, which is huge. And then we'll continue to, move forward. So, yeah, that's exciting. It's very exciting. I'm pretty stoked about that. And tour dates, I got them. First of all, February 10th, Los Angeles, got a local show here in LA at Flappers Comedy Club. You can get tickets now at romplacone.com. That's romplacone.com. You can get tickets for February 10th at Flappers. Also, in April, I'm going to be on the road. April 16th, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 18th, Toronto. April 19th, hold on. Crap. You know what? I'll just list the cities. I forget the exact numbers of the dates off the top of my head. But because, it's going to be, crap. You know what? Let me look it up. I got to get this right. Now I confused myself here. Let me just look at it myself. February 10th, Los Angeles, California. April 16th, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. April 18th, Toronto, Ontario. April 20th, Ottawa. April 21st, Montreal. April 22nd, Burlington, Vermont. April 23rd, Portland, Maine. April 24th, Boston, Massachusetts. April 25th, New York City, baby. New York freaking City. Huh? And that's the run. Krish Mohan's going to be opening a lot of those dates with me. And Lauren Ashcraft is going to be opening a couple of those dates as well. She's going to be opening in Pittsburgh and in New York City. So get tickets now. Don't wait. Romplacone.com. Romplacone.com. And hey, by the way, if you want to get a birthday theme song for you or a loved one or a Valentine's Day gift, Valentine's Day's coming up. Theme song makes an awesome gift. Where can you get that? Patreon.com/Romplacone for a give what you can level. That definitely helps keep this show on the air. All right. In fact, it is what keeps the show on the air. If it wasn't for, you get the idea. Let's see here. Venetia, thank you so much for the super chat contribution. That looks like a cat. Is that a cat? That's a cat. Hell yeah, man. Love it. Thank you for that cat, Venetia. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for that. You help keep this show on the air. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here. That was this week's headlines. You know the drill with Get Your News On with Ron. Protest, digital rights. Well, we didn't talk about any protests, but we covered digital rights. We covered, workers' rights, labor rights, however you want to phrase that. And we talked about single payer now. You know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace, love, and a general strike. See y'all next time. Peace.